Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, we're going to go over four aspects actually, that a person does that actually creates this deep sense of regret for an avoidant if they left that person, okay? Now, the reason why we're making this video is because a lot of you guys were saying that a lot of times when I make videos, they're about romantic relationships or their long-term relationship dynamics. Obviously, I'm a therapist, so my experience is going to be about people who are in long-term relationships because most people do not seek couples therapy if they've been together for like a month, right? That's not going to happen. And so I understand that a lot of my experience in the videos I make are more particular for those dynamics, right? More romantic relationships, more deeper commitment. However, that doesn't mean I don't see individual patients. I do. I just see couples more often. And what I've noticed is with all the avoidants that I work with, they do open up about the regret. Actually, I had literally a patient today open up about one of these, and I had one last week as well. And so I'm going to make a video more gearing towards that direction today, okay? So let's talk about regret. Now, why do people want to understand if an avoidant regrets leaving this person? For I think the obvious reason is usually when an avoidant regrets leaving this person, they want to come back and get together. Now, if this is you, I'm not saying that you have to take them back. I am absolutely not. I'm just saying it's very possible that you might see them reach out at one point or they're trying to get back with you. And that's up to you to decide. But I feel like this information might help you to prepare yourself for that possibility because it's really, really common, okay? The very first one is a little bit specific, but I really think I have seen this repeat many times in sessions. People have mentioned this to me, and I want you guys to know it, okay? Basically, when a person, let's say an anxious preoccupied, and they're with a dismissive avoidant, that particular anxious preoccupied, let's say they crashed out, whatever it may be, when they acknowledge their own faults during an argument, that is the most important part. This makes the avoidant feel like this person actually does have good conflict resolution skills, okay? This is very important because avoidants, a lot of them, and I'm not making fun of avoidants, I used to lean that way. A lot of you guys already know that. I don't need to go into that whole spiel. They're not good with arguments. Disagreements are hard. They can cause avoidance to shut down. And sometimes they don't acknowledge their own faults because they feel like it's a power struggle. And so when you acknowledge your own faults during the argument, it makes them realize that you were something that could add to their life. Not just that they love you, but you add to their life. Whether people want to admit it or not, there is an aspect of relationships that have a transactional sense. It's the way we are made, biologically, psychologically, in all forms, right? How can this person add to make my life better? How can this person make me a better person, happier, alleviate some of my stress, make me into a better person? And when you acknowledge your own faults during an argument, you're touching a lot of those points, right? You are, in fact, a person that when you acknowledge your own faults, you're a person who can step back in your emotions and say, I made this mistake. You're also a person that even if they're angry or even if they're hurting you, you can still say, you know what? I can still see how I'm doing wrong by you. And this skill makes avoidants realize not only are you very emotionally balanced, but you're also somebody that can probably understand them. Because when you acknowledge your own faults, you're saying, I hurt you, I want to do better. So they're allowed to have feelings, which is very appealing to avoidance. You are basically a person who said, I'm not going to reject you. I'm going to change if I need to for the sake of this relationship. And avoidants don't even realize how rare that is sometimes until it's gone. Or to the point where they start realizing, if you can admit your faults, I kind of wish I could. And that's the other side of the regret too. Not only do they feel bad that they lost somebody who really was gonna make them happy, but they also feel bad because they realize, I was caught up in my feelings during that argument. I could have just not accepted my fault and left preemptively instead of actually stayed in that relationship and communicated. I should have done that, right? They start feeling that regret and realizing that you were doing all the things that they probably wish they could have done. The next one is actually a person who addresses their needs without ultimatums or cornering behavior. Now, why is this something that avoidants regret? so deeply when they lose this person. To be completely honest, it's because it's not that common, right? Of course, on my little corner of our YouTube channel that, I'm doing, you guys are commenting on. Most of you guys already know this, and most of you guys are not doing this. I read your comments. I know you guys don't do this. However, the vast majority of people who have very dysfunctional relationships and have trauma, they communicate with ultimatums all the time. I see it in therapy day in and day out. Sometimes to the point where I can prompt, specify research, whatever it may be, and they still don't understand it. They think ultimatums are the best option, and then their partner dumps them, or they have a fight, or they have a breakup, and now there's another session where we're working on either reconciling or whatever it is, and it's a whole thing, right? And it usually comes out of an ultimatum. Now, why is this something that is rare? Because a lot of people don't like to give away their power. This is the reality, especially if you have an insecure attachment. Not just fearful or anxious, avoidance too, but especially fearful and anxious. Very afraid to be in that position where you're the one that could be abandoned. Because what is your biggest fear? Abandonment. And so a lot of avoidants, especially dismissive avoidance, their partners are typically fearful or anxious. And so they're used to ultimatums like you would not imagine, okay? And if you're a person who communicates clearly without using ultimatums, they actually will start appreciating you're a person that they might not find every now and again, right? It's going to be somebody who you're pretty rare, and you could have actually helped them on their healing journey. Remember, we talked about there's a part of relationships that are transactional, to which you can help the other person. You communicating and addressing your needs, sometimes it's a lot for a person at first, but then they realize it's the right type of communication for them, for their own healing. It actually will help them become more secure, and you're communicating in a more secure way by doing that. So what ends up happening is they actually appreciate how you communicate, and they kind of wish they could communicate that way as well. And of course, they know your needs very clearly because you said it clearly, not in an ultimatum, not cornering. You said, I wish that you could text me more often. They know what they did wrong. Like, it's clear as day. They can't pretend and say, oh, this person was just angry or putting me in a corner or manipulating me. That's not going to work because that's not true. They can lie to themselves, I guess. But the reality is you address your needs. And so they have nothing to run from. They have nothing to hide from. It's very clear this is why the relationship ended. And so they can reflect on that and they want to do better. The next one is when that person gives actual genuine acknowledgement of the effort. If the avoidant individual did put some effort and you gave some genuine acknowledgement, they don't get acknowledgement much. That's actually why it's such a deep need for them from their childhood standpoint, parental relationship. Part of why dismissive avoidants are created the way they are, especially fearful as well, but particularly dismissive avoidants, is they have very strict parents. Parents that say, if you don't do this, it's never enough, right? You need to get, let's say they want you to be, I don't know, the best chess player in the world. Whatever it is. That's like their dream for you since you were born. And they always play chess with you. And every time you fail, they get mad or they get disappointed. But if you do good, they don't give you that approval because they still want you to do better. That's the childhood, the life of dismissive avoidance, okay? And so when you actually give them genuine acknowledgement, it's a very deep need. And so they love that. They love you. And they regret losing that because they don't find that in themselves. Avoidants do not know how to acknowledge themselves. They do not know how to. That's why they work so hard. That's why they're so obsessed with counting their money and making sure, because money is a very obvious sign I'm doing good. I'm earning this amount of money. And so they need like a lot of evidence, a lot of reassurance that they are doing well, right? Anxious, preoccupied, they need acknowledgement. Do you still love me? Even if you guys are married. I see it all the time in relationships. Literally, I'll have a couple. They are married. They're committed. He's literally trying to do well by her. Let's say the anxious, preoccupied is female. And she still asks, does he love me? I need to know if he loves me. I get worried. Is he looking at somebody else? Is he going to leave me? That's something that anxious, preoccupieds really need. Dismissive avoidance, they need proof that I am valuable. This is my accomplishment. And so that's why they're so obsessed with money and working, because it's obvious I did good. I'm working well. But if you are able to give them that need, it's natural to you. And so they really regret that they lost something that they need. And the very last one is something I know a lot of you guys will not like, but I see it a lot. I'm never going to deny it. A partner who admits they still want the relationship. Even when the relationship ended, it doesn't mean that you're begging them I mean, if you want to, you can. But I'm saying more so, you said it once and you mention, I understand that you don't want to be together. I still wish that we could make it work, but I respect you. Something along those lines. Why is this important? Because you're direct, it shows that you're honest and genuine, but it also shows you don't play games. And so the avoidant individual is not confused by the emotion that you're showing. They know what to do, and now all they have to do is do it. And they regret that because they realize they lost that and they want to get it back usually. And that's why I'm making this video, so that you guys know what's going on. So let's go ahead and summarize, and then we'll wrap it up, okay? So these 4 traits that a person will do, and this particular person is that who the avoidant deeply regrets leaving, is this person will acknowledge their own faults, particularly during an argument, okay? The second one is they address their own needs without ultimatums or a cornering type of behavior. The third one is they actually give actual genuine acknowledgement to the partner's efforts, the avoidant, okay? And the fourth one is that this partner admits they still want the relationship, and they're direct about it, they're honest and genuine. So it does allow the avoidant to reflect and realize, hey, I think I was the one that broke it off. Maybe I can fix that, okay? These are the 4 aspects. I hope this video was helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I will see you in the next one.